Pro Football Focus came out with a list of the top 32 edge rushers coming into the 2025 season. Does anybody care to guess where Aidan Hutchinson is? I'll let you guys have a quick guess.
Aidan Hutchinson?
Top 32 edge rushers going into the 2025 season, according to PFF.
According to PFF. They've been nice, though. I mean, if I had to guess, I would assume he's a guy that is... How much do they take into effect like last year? Are they just assuming he's going to be that guy this year and no injury?
I mean, I don't want to give you a hint. With all due respect.
Then, obviously, I would say top 5. I would put him top 3.
Okay. Justin, where do you think Aidan Hutchinson ranks on the PFF top 32 edge rushers?
I think it's going to be 6.
Okay.
Even though I think it should be higher.
Chase?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking around the same thing as Justin. Probably like top 6, top
JB,
8.
you already know.
I kind of already know the answer, so
I'd love to ask you, but you already know. But show us Aidan Hutchinson's write-up, and it also shows what number he's ranked in the top 32 PFF edge rushers going into the 2025 season. 5.
Number 5. All right.
And I'll just read this for anybody who is audio only. Hutchinson was on pace for a historic season before suffering a fractured tibia and fibula injuries against Dallas in Week 6. The Pro Bowl edge defender was in a league of his own, recording 72 pass rush wins, the most ever by a defensive player in the PFF era through the first 6 weeks of a season. Remarkably, he accomplished the feat in just 5 games as Detroit had a bye in Week 5. Heading into this season, Hutchinson will be a popular Defensive Player of the Year candidate for the division favorite Detroit Lions. And before I get you guys' opinion on this, because you saw he's 5, you saw the write-up, I just made a quick list of who the top 10 was, just so we have a gauge. If you got that one, JB Smooth, who he's behind, who he is slightly in front of. Number 1, Myles Garrett. 2, Micah Parsons. 3, TJ Watt. 4, Nick Bosa. 5, you already know, Aidan. 6, Max Crosby. 7, Trey Hendrickson. 8, Jared Verse. 9, Will Anderson Jr. 10, Khalil Mack.
I can't be mad at it.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'd still would probably put them a little higher, but especially with where they started with their article with the injury, because I didn't see it. I knew we were going to talk about it, but I was like, all right, let me save it. I can understand why they would have him here. Do I expect Aidan Hutchinson, based on where they're going to have this list at the end of the year, to be higher? I do, but that's a great list of edge rushers. I don't ever want to be short-sighted about that. I know that there's a lot of Kool-Aid I will always drink when it comes to our guys that deserve it. But when you look at this list and you see Aidan Hutchinson amongst these players, despite the injury, this is where it's like, all right, you're right in the middle of this top 10. He's going to have a big say-so in moving up this list, and I do believe he's going to.
And Justin, you predicted 6. Are you okay with Aidan being 5th when you see who's in front of him and slightly behind him?
I don't think that Nick Bosa deserves to be above him. I think Max Crosby does, but that's just really nitpicking. I think 5 is a perfect spot for him. I think that I expected both Bosa and Crosby to be above him. And,
I thought
and
Crosby
even
was
Hendrickson too, honestly. But I think that this is a good spot for him. I think him and Trey Hendrickson should be 5 and 6 with Bosa at 7 and Max Crosby at 4.
I think you're shortchanging Bosa a little bit, but I'm not going to kill you for it. His sack numbers have been a little low in the past couple of years. Chase,
He's not as dynamic as he has been the last couple of years.
I get it. 2021 and 2022, he was probably the best in the world. He's fallen off a little bit.
People have umbrage with Parsons being above a lot of players on this
and
list.
see, I think Micah Parsons is one of the most overhated athletes by Detroit sports fans. I know he said some things that you don't like about the city. I know that people,
F him, man. You know,
I know. I know people like Maz opine for him still, and people like even myself glaze him all the time because I think he's such a great player. But I'll say this about Micah Parsons, why I have no problem with him being 2 personally before I throw it over to the other guys. In his first 4 seasons, he has more sacks in his first 4 seasons than anybody on this list. There's a couple of like all-time greats ahead of him, like J.J. Watt and a Reggie White, for example. But Micah Parsons has had an absolutely torrid pace. His first 2 seasons, he was 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting. His 3rd season, he was 3rd. And last year, he had 12 sacks in 13 games. I understand he could be better against the run, and that's a fair criticism, although I think people take it too far. But Micah Parsons, to me, stylistically, and just watching him and looking at the numbers, he's Lawrence Taylor-esque, but he's 90% of Lawrence Taylor to me. And I don't think that's crazy.
Well, who do you think he's properly ranked above Aidan Hutchinson? Because it is a good conversation, I understand it, but Goodness gracious, man. Because a lot of people believe that there's a case for Watt and potentially Parsons to be ranked below Hutchinson.
I disagree with that because of the injury, unfortunately. And this is where I, in my heart of hearts, can believe that when it's all said and done this year, that Aidan Hutchinson could be one. I could believe in my heart of hearts that if he would have been healthy last year and won Defensive Player of the Year, that he would be number one. But unfortunately, he only played 5 games last year. And there's a lot of, and I understand his production in those 5 games was all-time great at an all-time great pace, but we're still waiting for that season-to-season Defensive Player of the Year caliber season. And I think that there's just a lot of good edge rushing talent in the NFL. So even me, the biggest Hutch slappy probably in the building, am okay with him being at 5.
Which that actually surprised me. I thought I would have heard you say you want to see him a little bit higher on this list. And I'm going to ask you, also prepare your answers. Where do you believe he will be at the end of this? And obviously it's just about projections and what you think, the talent he has, what the Lions have around him and the expectations and such. I do believe he's going to have an opportunity to move up, but the chat family, man, they're not feeling Parsons, bro.
Yeah, people just hate Micah Parsons.
Yeah, Eric Allen, I do not believe Parsons belongs at 2. He should be around 7 or 8.
See, that's insane. You can say 5, but 7 or 8, that's Jared versus fucking 8. Come on, bro. Come on. I don't want to have to put on my cape for Micah Parsons, but you guys act like he's just a run-of-the-mill good edge rusher. The dude's dynamic. He's great.
Stephen Baffy, more like overrated. He got owned by Sewell. Parsons is all finesse and speed. There was no power to his game. I would rather have Will Anderson than Parsons. Parsons depends
so
on scheme
stupid,
and help.
Bro. That's so dumb, with all due respect. If you want to talk about having a couple more years on the rookie contract, I can listen to that. But, okay, he got owned by Penei Sewell. Ooh. Penei Sewell's the best O-lineman in the game, and I'm happy that Penei Sewell has had Micah Parsons' number. But you guys, the disrespect towards Micah Parsons to me is just insane. Like I said, if you want to swap Watt and put him at 2, or I'm much higher on Bosa than you, for the record, Justin. If you want to put Bosa over Parsons, I'm not mad at that. But putting him any lower than 4 or 5 to me is just
Stephen Bassey,
disrespectful.
he said, look, you put Hutch against Sewell, and he will win some reps. Parsons is not winning many, if any at all. This is not equal comparison. It's apples to oranges. People are actually more hot about this, man. I want to know where people – you tell us where you believe Hutch should be ranked, and those players that you think is disrespectful to rank him behind. Because it is an interesting one here, man. I didn't think that – I know, obviously, Parsons, that's a lightning rod word here. And I guess put them at 2. I don't know necessarily the metrics that Planet Fitness, Pro Football, utilized in making the ranking. But this is one that by the end of the year, I see R.J. Graham. He already put what he believes, Miles, Watt, Hutch at 3, and then he has Parsons and then Bosa. I do believe that by the end of the year, it's going to be something more where we see Hutch in that top 3.
Yes.
I really do. Amongst your best, obviously Garrett is somebody that I expect to be there, but it's going to be interesting to see if Hutch finds himself being able to really have a shot at that number 1. And you look at the talent, you look at this pace he got off to last year, and you're right. The only question for me is not his work ethic. The only question for me is not his talent. The only question realistically is how quickly is he going to be back to what we know him to be? Because you still have to get back in the game shape, period. No matter how healed he is, no matter how healthy he is, there's still a certain aspect of game shape that he's going to have to get back into.
Yeah, and I fully am in agreement that by next year's list, you could have Aidan Hutchinson at number 1. You just have to chalk it up, in my opinion, to injuries robbed him of a special season. And boy, was he special in those 5 games. And I'm not discounting that. I truly believe that he would have won Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know if he necessarily would have broken the sack record, but he had a couple of games against Caleb Williams and C.J. Stroud, or 3 against those 2 teams combined, and they were the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. So I'm not necessarily putting that against them, but at the end of the day, these are guys in front of him who are still playing at a high level, who all of them except for Micah Parsons have won at least a Defensive Player of the Year award. I think they've each won 1, and then when it comes to Micah Parsons, he's finished twice. He's finished second twice and third once. And this is not Aidan Hutchinson hate. I'm cool, for the record, I am more than cool with him being ranked ahead of Max Crosby. And I think PFF, the write-up, actually is pretty fair to Crosby because he was obviously dynamic and phenomenal and still is, but Crosby had a down year by his standards in 2024, partly due to the ankle injury suffered in Week 2 against Baltimore. Yes, he did play hurt, and he did get surgery in the offseason. That lingered throughout the season, ultimately required surgery. His 74.3 PFF grade and 54 total pressures, which, by the way, are not elite numbers, by the way. Not bad, but not elite, were his lowest mark since 2020. However, considering his previous 3-year stretch, during which he never graded below 90.1 overall and averaged 94 pressures per season, a bounce-back campaign seems well within reach for the former All-Pro. And that's what – and also, Max Crosby, he's never finished top 3 in a Defensive Player of the Year voting. Neither has Hutch, by the way, but
it's on the way.
Yeah, it's absolutely on the way. It could be for both of them, but that's where I put Hutch's last season and even the year before, just slightly above what Max Crosby has done. Although I can't kill you if you'd rather have Crosby than Hutch on this list.
We do have some more rankings here. Dante151, shout out to Dante. He says it should have been Miles, Hendrickson, Crosby, Hutchinson, and then Parsons. Trill and Spill, Garrett, Hutch, Hendrickson, and Parsons. All the lists that's gonna be your recurring theme. That Parsons is behind Hutchinson, and that's probably the biggest point of contention. I've seen a lot of people who largely are okay with where Hutch is ranked, but they do believe that Parsons is somebody that probably shouldn't be ranked ahead of him. So.
And for the record, Trey Hendrickson is a very difficult one for me to really grade, because he's been the sack master of the NFL the last couple of years. He just has. And he's done it on a defensive line where, he's had some talent on it. Obviously, a couple of years ago, he had DJ Reader. He's had like Sam Hubbard, for example, BJ Hill. But he's really been the man on that D-line. It's just, to me, when I watch Trey Hendrickson play, when I see how he is against the run, I don't think he's as good as those 6 guys ahead of him, but I also can't blame you if you want to put him higher, because I'm a numbers guy, and Trey Hendrickson, when it comes to numbers, when it comes to even pressures and win rate, he's lighting the world on fire. He's phenomenal. He's making like a Hall of Fame case with his last couple of years, honestly. Shout out Trey Hendrickson. If you want to put him higher than 7, go for it. I wouldn't, but I can't be mad at you for it.
Shout out that dude. I don't know if you're busy, man, but hey, what do you think, man? This Parsons, this Hutch thing, is it overblown? Is there something more to this that people should see? It is a point of contention, and even for me, I'm sitting here like, I do. I probably would put him over there. If you're taking the injury into effect, that's why I said, you know what, 5 is fair, but me personally, I would have Hutch top 3.
I think there's a lot of fairness to having Hutch in your top 3. I don't think that that's biased or anything, but I do think that Micah Parsons deserves the nod in terms of those 2 players. When you saw Micah Parsons go out for the Cowboys last year, their defense was abysmal, even worse than how the Lions was without Hutch. And I think that just is a testament to how good Micah Parsons is, how much he demands the attention of an offense, and he is just such a factor. And it's the versatility as well. Like Hutch is an edge, but they move Micah all over the line and even line him out as an outside linebacker sometimes. So I think that he just has a skill set that Hutch doesn't have yet. Hutch could become a better run defender than Micah, but right now Micah has that nod, and I think that it's close. I think the injury is kind of where it lies, though.
Yeah, and if by the end of the season, I'll make a prediction. Next year's list, Hutch will be above Micah Parsons, but it's not because Parsons is bad or is overrated. It's because I think Hutch will prove to be a little bit better. And at the end of the day, obviously, we're happy with the Penei Sewell pick, and a lot of people don't like Parsons, I think, because some people still opine after him. Penei Sewell and Micah Parsons are going to the same Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. Penei, I think, is going to be a better all-time tackle than Parsons is an all-time edge rusher, but they're both going to the Hall. They're both great. Thankful for Penei Sewell. Unfortunately, the Cowboys haven't done a whole lot in terms of success with Micah Parsons, but it's far from his fault. Chase, Hutch at 5. Hutch at 5, what do you think? Any other problems with the top 5, top 10?
No, I mean, I think those are the top 5, and how you want to order them is just kind of going to vary depending on the individual. I'm not going to get all twisted up and like upset about it. I mean, like I said, he's coming back injured. I think by the end of the year, if you want to remake the list, he'll end up climbing his way up into the top 3, top 2 probably, and maybe have a strong case to be the number 1 edge rusher on the list. So going into this season, the fact that he's still considered top 5 is, I'm happy to see that the injury hasn't taking too much away from him in people's eyes. And I think, once he's back healthy, people will be reminded again how good he is.
I think that's an interesting one because I'm seeing people who are pushing back in the chat. Chuckle Cheese Parsons is not as good as Hutchinson, period. But Steve-O, baby, he submits his list. He says, my list goes Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, Michael Parsons, and then Hutch, as long as neither one of them gets injured.
See, and this is where I have to push back a little bit. And Max Crosby's phenomenal, but I think Max Crosby at 2 and TJ Watt not being in your top 4 is a little crazy to me. But at the end of the day, I think what this list also shows is that, and this is just my opinion, if you guys disagree, feel free. There are 7 that are clearly in a different tier than the rest of the league. When you look at that top 7, it's just like the dudes of the dudes, and then 8 is Jared Verse. And I don't think Jared Verse should be 8, by the way, but that just kind of speaks to there's a lot of talent, and then there's a bit of a drop-off. And no disrespect to Jared Verse's phenomenal regular season, but I personally would take Hutch's rookie season over Verse's. The one that Hutch had versus the one that Verse had. Verse had a lot more help on the D-line, and his sack numbers were not as good. His pressure numbers, great. Overall as a DN, great. Playoffs, fantastic. Still think 8's very high. He's the next after Trey Hendrickson. Come on now. Come on. Shout out to Jared Verse. You're fantastic, but pay some more dues.
Nah, Nick Cunningham in the chat. Y'all are wild. Parsons is way better than Hutch. Q-Ball 93. Hutch shouldn't even be on the top 10. He has to prove he can do it again.
That's
is
insane.
This coming
That's
from?
insane.
Do we have to ask the people? I almost feel like that's a layup. Hey, Hutch or Parsons. I know what Detroit fans, I thought I knew what they would say, but I'm seeing some other stuff here right now.
Say it in the chat, Q-Ball. Who should be higher on the list? Aidan Hutchinson or Jared Verse? Don't do it. Don't do it, Q-Ball. Don't do it. I know you're thinking about it. Don't do it. Let that perspective wash over you. And don't be too prideful to put Jared Verse over Aidan Hutchinson, because that's basically what you're saying, is that Aidan Hutchinson should be below Jared Verse on this list, which is a bird brain take.
We got a couple more top 5s too. Keitho, Garrett, Watt, Hutch, Bosa, and Parsons. Stephen Baffy, Garrett, Watt, Hutch, Bosa, Crosby. And then he finishes out his top 10. Hendrickson, Verse, Anderson, Parsons, and Mack.
Parsons at 9 after Verse.
Wow.
That's hate, man. Like I said, if you want to put Parsons in the top 5 at 5, I'll disagree, but I'll live with it. But Parsons at 9 is just, it's so clouded by hate and so insane that I can't even share this space with you. I will share this space. I won't block you because I'm not an idiot, but come on now. Come on now. Let the hate out of your heart, brother.
Voice the reason, JB Smooth. I've heard you over there, man. You've been giving the ad-libs and everything, but make sense of this list for us. I know you do have the chat poll going on right now, so chat family, make sure you get in there and make your feelings heard. If you don't think that he should be at 5th, where do you think he should be? 4th, 3rd, 2nd, or 1st? Right now, 42% of the chat is saying 4th. And smash that like button when you get an opportunity to. But JB Smooth, what about you, Voice of Reason? Make sense of all this.
I mean, I kind of got to agree with the chat as well, too. I would definitely bump Aidan up to 4th on this list. It's not a terrible list. All the guys on here are very respectable names. If anything, I'd probably be like Justin, just nitpick just a little bit. I would probably, as I said, bump Aidan to 4, and then flip-flop Max Crosby and Nick Bosa. That's probably my only gripe, but once again, I'm just nitpicking of the players that I see fit over Nick Bosa, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Bosa, he doesn't have the counting stats that a lot of these guys, honestly, on a game-for-game basis, at least in the top 5, have had recently, but I still think that he's been very, very good. He's gotten consistent pressure. His TFL and QB hit numbers are high. That's why I still am okay with him being above Hutch. But I'm more confident that when this list comes out this next year that Hutch will be above Nick Bosa with no question than even above like Micah Parsons with a no question. I think Nick Bosa is the next one that Hutch leapfrogs, and it's damn near the consensus.
Dope. And you got him at that 5 firm?
I got him at 5. I think this is the perfect spot for Aidan Hutchinson just because, unfortunately, injuries robbed him in so many ways. They robbed him, they robbed the Lions, they robbed us fans. It's just sometimes you have to deal with what is. And I'm living in the consequences of it. Do you really think that I want to come in here and say Hutch at 5 is fine? Or do you think I want to come in here, shirt off, pants off, hard, talking about Hutch at number 1?
Well,
obviously the
latter.
latter.
A lot of big muscular
Obviously the latter, but I gotta put on my analyst hat too. Yeah,
Until baseball season's over, you just got to say Riley Green jersey on.
that's
button.
fair. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I'd have to like double up if I want a Hutch jersey before baseball season is over. I mean, it's like porn to me. Thank you, JB.
Jordan from
Ultimate
MI.
sniper.
He says Garrett, Watt, Parsons, Crosby, and Hutch. Hutch can move up over all of them, but we're gonna have to see it.
Wheezy D313, Hutch will be 1 and Dav will be 8 by the end of the year. Hey, Wheezy, if that happens, if that doesn't happen, see, here's my problem, Wheezy D313. You like to throw in a lot of those victory laps, but if this doesn't happen, I will find you and I will clown you.
Good luck.
I hope you're right, but
I will find you.
I saw you in the chat
know who
yesterday
you are.
victory lapping Killian Hayes, which I think is just insane. Come on, Dav is not 8.
Skills I've acquired
If
over
Dav
7
can be,
years.
or Big Dav as you call him affectionately, if he can be top 32, I will do
Marcus
backflips.
I don't know who you are. I don't know where you are.
He'd probably take Davenport over Parsons
I
right
will
now.
find you.
You hear Kavasi?
Good luck.
Dog, man, I remember the first day Flannel did that, man. I was cracking up. That was one of the clips. I was literally clipping. I was like, no, that's going on something, man. Or putting the clips together. But, you know, a lot of good talk for these teams, and it is because of shout out to Mike G. All of them are percolating.
Yeah.
And with the Lions, you know, I know there was another name on that list too. But let's say what I've done to some friends.
And you know what? Let's table that because
table
I
that
think
one?
we can. There's another name on this list that we will get to tomorrow, which he's not technically a Lion, but it's not as simple as that. But that's for tomorrow's show. We've got lots of TLB tomorrow. I promise. I promise I won't glaze Riley Green too much tomorrow. But that means we have time for what's trending. If you are still have that in the hopper, JB Smooth.
Oh yeah, that's no
Absolutely.
problem.
But let's take a break first.
All right, we need to hear from Jars and let's stay.